larga vista, ese punto que yo lo veo brillante es...
¡Dios mío!
¿Qué?
¡Mamá! ¡Míralo! ¡Ha crecido! ¡Mamá! Se paró hacia arriba, mamá. Acá se ve. ¡Qué miedo!
No digo.
¡Ay, qué miedo! Me voy a poner a llorar.
El dorado no se te...
Hola.
This man was walking across the mountains in Peru, but never expected what he would see. They filmed giants above a mountain in Peru, and you won't believe what happened next. Is this really a real giant, or just a hoax? Let's break things down. One question that has plagued the world for many years is whether giants actually existed. But you won't believe that they just filmed giants above a mountain in Peru. This is probably one of the rarest sightings of giants in modern day, ironically filmed by a man just passing by at that moment. But this is pretty hard to believe, and it's leading to a lot of questions. It all started in the highlands of Peru, where strange tales are nothing new. There have always been ancient legends from the Andes, which have long spoken of beings of extraordinary stature. These are giants who once roamed the earth, leaving behind massive stone structures and unexpected relics. But no one expected when a new claim revived this age-old conversation, starting with a YouTuber who calls himself El Científico, also known as the Scientist. The incident started during what seemed to be an ordinary hike. The Scientist was armed with his camera and a curious spirit, ready to record videos of the beautiful Peruvian mountains. At first, he explored the beauty of the mountain landscape, like the rolling green ridges, deep valleys, and a horizon that stretches endlessly. But he didn't expect what he would see a few minutes after. He literally filmed giants above a mountain in Peru, and then something shocking happened. On a nearby slope, he saw two men who were seated or crouched close to each other. At first glance, it seemed like just normal shepherds resting or hikers enjoying the scenery. But then the moment that has set the internet ablaze happened. The man in the foreground stood up. And to the scientist's shock, he towered over the second man at over twice his height. His reaction was immediate and raw. In the video, he exclaims repeatedly saying, "Dios mío, qué miedo!" This means, "Oh my God, how scary!" His voice was shaking as he described what he was seeing, a massive giant right above a mountain in Peru. And then this happens. The towering figure of the man seemed to grow as he stood above the mountain. It was very strange as the giant removed his shirt, revealing a broad frame and elongated proportions that looked to be almost unnatural. It was a strangely tall and massive man that didn't look normal at all. The giant stood motionless for a while, as if he was looking around the mountains, and then calmly sat back down. The encounter lasted less than a minute, but that's all it took to show a strange sighting of something that the world thought didn't exist before. The sighting of the giant seems to be one of the few pieces of evidence of a giant in modern day, rather than the bones and skeletons of giants that have been dug out from thousands of years ago in Peru. When the scientist revealed the fact that he was face to face with giants in the mountains in Peru, experts and enthusiasts raced to find out whether this was true or just a prank. Some viewers believe that this is undeniable proof that the giants still exist on Earth and are probably hiding in the most remote corners of the world. The Peruvians have been known for their indigenous Andean legends for a while, especially those about Los Gigantes, which are beings of great size and strength. They were said to inhabit high mountain regions long before modern times. These giants are shy and usually avoid human contact, which must be why this YouTuber could only make a recording from a far point. As if the giant noticed that he was being watched, it could have disappeared again for decades. But at the same time, there have been a lot of critics who suspect that this video isn't what it seems. They say that it could be because of the camera perspective. They say that without a second vantage point, it's hard to know what exactly was seen. Others blame forced distance or clever video editing for this shocking revelation. It's not hard to believe that the man in that video was a true giant, as the Peruvian Andes have been a hotspot for strange and unexplained sightings, from UFOs to shadowy figures spotted on remote ridges. The region's vast, isolated terrain offers the perfect backdrop for mysteries. So in many rural communities in Peru, the idea of giants isn't strange. After they filmed giants above a mountain in Peru, scientists have linked this strange sighting to the archaeological discoveries in Peru, where unusually tall human remains have been found. When archaeologists were exploring the Moche tombs, they didn't expect to see evidence of giants, bringing up the question of whether their race is extinct or still hiding in the Peruvian mountains. But what did they find in the Moche tombs? Nestled in the Jequetepew Valley of northern Peru, the Moche civilization left behind a remarkable legacy of artistry, metallurgy, and burial customs. Among the most compelling archaeological discoveries are those from the pyramid site Dos Cabezas, which revealed something shocking. Giants existed, and they might still be there today. Within several tombs at Dos Cabezas, archaeologists unearthed male mummies with heights going as tall as 7 feet. This is way taller than the average height of a Moche male, who were between 4 feet 10 inches and 5 feet 6 inches. This disparity was compelling enough that it was likened to encountering modern-day 7-footers in a crowd. Basically, these were giants who had lived during the time of this civilization, from 100 to 800 AD. There's no telling if there were even more giants after this period of civilization, and modern archaeologists can't tell until they see more evidence. Anthropologist Alana Cordy-Collins suggested that these individuals likely suffered from Marfan syndrome, and this is a hereditary connective tissue disorder related with tall, slender builds and elongated limbs. It matches all the anatomical traits of the Dos Cabezas giants. In fact, as long as these remains are validated, this would be the earliest documented instance of gigantism in prehistoric South America. Interestingly, the tombs containing these tall individuals were richly furnished with detailed metalwork, ceramics, and textiles, which shows that these giants were of high social status. The elaborate funerary context shows that these men were probably members of the elite, possibly revered or respected in the Moche society because of how tall they were. Since there were a few giants, the normal-sized people would have seen them as special. In fact, this shocking discovery of the giants above a mountain in Peru just shows how physical differences might have been interpreted. Where most individuals were around 5 feet tall, a Moche man standing above 7 feet tall would appear extraordinary, inspiring myths and reverence. From a scientific standpoint, identifying Marfan syndrome in remains that are over a millennium old demonstrates the sophistication of modern archaeological and forensic analyses. The ability to discern genetic conditions from skeletal evidence enriches our understanding of ancient peoples. The discovery of the skeletons of giants in Peru is attracting the attention of many scientists and experts. This has proven that there were actually giants in Peru centuries ago. But it seems like these giants aren't extinct as we might have thought, as they finally filmed giants above the mountain in Peru until something shocking happened. But this is not the only aspect of Peru history that has proven the existence of giants. Archaeologists found something strange in Paracas, which proves that very massive giants with unusually shaped heads once roamed the earth. In 1928, Peruvian archaeologist Julia Tello uncovered a shocking and remarkable archaeological trove along the Paracas Peninsula. This was the proof of giants existing in ancient Peru. The trove included over 300 elongated skulls, dating from about 800 BCE to 100 CE, related to the Paracas civilization. The weirdest part of these skulls wasn't even that they were elongated, as this might mean that they were giants, which is why they had such big heads. Instead, the skulls exhibited extraordinary cranial proportions, bringing up a lot of questions about why these giants had such strange heads. Many scholars agree that their head was so weirdly shaped because they engaged in artificial cranial deformation. This deliberate practice, which is common across diverse ancient societies, was achieved by tightly binding infants' heads using cloth or wooden boards during early development. This helped them mould the skull into conical or tubular erect shapes. The intent was cultural. In many ancient contexts, including among the Paracas, cranial deformation served as a social status marker, indicating elite or noble lineage, spiritual association, or group identity. It seemed like the giants were also accepted in the ancient community of that time. Despite dramatic shapes, the elongated skulls retain typical human attributes, and they are undeniably human in origin, not evidence of extraterrestrial or mythical beings. Scientific consensus establishes that while shape could be altered, cranial volume, weight, and overall capacity remain within human norms, as confirmed by anthropological studies. Apparently, these skulls sometimes exhibited larger than average volume, with some of the reports showing up to a 25% increase in cranial capacity and weight up to 60% heavier. There were some other variances, like larger orbital cavities and jawbones. This is definitely not the head of a normal person. Nonetheless, these figures remain debated. Mainstream archaeology continues to treat them as within human plausibility, not evidence of anomalous beings. Unsurprisingly, the uniqueness of these skulls has fueled a spectrum of theories, some bold, others speculative. Fringe enthusiasts have posited alien origins or non-human DNA, citing supposed anomalies in sutures, foramen magnum placement, and genetic markers. And of course, there's a lot of speculation that these are giants who walked the land and mountains in Peru centuries ago. And now, with modern technology, they filmed giants above a mountain in Peru. But there is still no research that has corroborated these claims. Genetic results are still inconclusive, and the elongated skull morphology aligns more convincingly with traditional cranial modification. For the Paracas people, intentionally reshaping the head likely signified more than aesthetics. Symbolic associations, like projecting intellectual or spiritual power, may have driven this practice. Some theories suggest that motor or visual differences resulting from the deformation were interpreted as sacred or supernatural experiences by these societies. But the practice is still deep in different cultures. Even the giants of the Paracas communities centuries ago had to follow this culture. With all of this research, from the proof of giants in Moche to these very massive skulls, it's clear that giants once existed, but they might still be out there today. Far from mythological giants, these skulls are powerful testimonies to human cultural ingenuity and the rich diversity of ancient body modification practices. They invite us to reflect on how ancient societies redefined physical form as a canvas for identity, hierarchy, and meaning. As experts research the giants that lived in Peru thousands of years ago, many are still looking for further proof that the giant found above a mountain in Peru is real and not a glitch or camera editing. One of the popular examples of the discoveries and legends is Basilio Huaylas, a real individual known for his exceptional height. Outside the realm of archaeology, Basilio Huaylas has gained a lot of fame as the tallest man known in Peru. Huaylas was first portrayed in drawings in the 19th century and was always drawn to have elongated limbs and a towering stature. This has made him an emblem of human diversity. Although not a prehistoric figure like the Moche individuals, his legacy endures as part of Peru's more recent human history, blending biological anomaly with cultural fascination. Interestingly, the term giant also surfaces in a biological context, but in a completely different domain. In 2016, entomologists described Viridigigas ciseski, a new genus and species of ghost moth discovered in the Andean region of Peru. Nicknamed the green giant, this moth boasts a 12-centimeter wingspan and displays a unique olive-green pattern with circular brown spots, making it unlike any other ghost moth known to science. Its rarity and distinctive morphology earned it the giant label, not for human proportions, but for its remarkable presence in the insect world. But it's important to know that physical deviations, whether in ancient skeletons, recorded individuals like Huaylas, or unusual insects, usually inspire legend and folklore, especially in regions steeped in this tradition. In the case of Peru, there have been a lot of stories of giants passed around over the years, especially since this can be corroborated by the archaeological evidence. The evidence shows that there were strangely tall and massive people in Peru centuries ago. And it doesn't seem like they are extinct as we might have thought. Although this was only a theory, it was later proven to be true when they filmed giants above a mountain in Peru. These tales can amplify a single tall skeleton or a towering individual into the realm of the extraordinary. Over generations, folklore tends to embellish, sometimes transforming very tall humans into enormous giants cloaked in mystery. These legends of giants in Peru seem to have some truth in them, like seen with the recent sightings of a real-life giant. Many tales of giants in Peru go back centuries. The first stories come from 16th century Spanish explorers who recorded the tales told by the local people. One of the earliest came from Pedro Cieza de León, who shared a story of giants arriving by reed boats on the Santa Elena Peninsula, which we now call Ecuador. These giants were so tall that regular men reached only up to their knees. Their heads were huge, hair long, with plate-sized eyes and no beards. They built deep wells for water and large stone huts that the locals couldn't construct. Other chroniclers added more to the story. Some said giant skeletons, oversized teeth, and bones were discovered in tombs or valleys of Peru, like the Trujillo Valley. These findings seem to support the legends. The Jesuit priest Pablo José Arriaga, writing in 1620, described a cave with the remains of several giants, each wrapped in ceremonial clothing. These giants were said to be worshipped as ancestors, and sacrifices were made in their honor. The Spanish burned these remains to end the practice. In addition to physical giants, Peru's myths include supernatural beings. One such figure is Viracocha, a creator god who, according to legend, originally made giant people. But these first beings displeased him. He destroyed them with a flood, and then recreated humans in a smaller form. There are also legends of giant serpentine beings. The Yakumama, meaning Mother of the Waters, is a legendary giant snake believed to live in the Amazon. Some tribes speak of it as enormous, so powerful that people would blow conch horns before entering water to scare it away. Over time, these stories shifted from belief to legend. By the 18th and 19th centuries, tales of giants were more folklore than fact, but they remained part of Peru's oral history and cultural imagination. But whenever there's folklore and rumours, it usually comes from a place of truth. It might just be that they actually saw the giants and spread the news, which has become a common myth for the people. But giant remains and evidence of modern giants aren't limited to Peru alone. Other countries, like Egypt, have found remains and evidence that they also had giants. A possible case of gigantism involves King Sanecht from ancient Egypt's 3rd dynasty. His skeletal remains showed unusually large bones and skull, suggesting extraordinary height. A modern study concluded that he may be the oldest known case of gigantism in history. This is similar to the strange findings in the Moche tombs. Some hieroglyphs and tomb depictions in Egypt also seem to portray these large or tall figures. But it's not possible to depend on these depictions for proof, especially since they are usually symbolic and might not be proof of real giants. But Egypt is not the only country that has found evidence of giants roaming the world. In Rome, archaeologists discovered a skeleton of a man about 6 feet 8 inches tall, much taller than the average Roman male, which is around 5 feet 6 inches. According to medical tests, it seemed like the skeleton was a man who had gigantism, a disease that caused excessive growth because of the pituitary gland issue. Experts have also said there have been some giant sightings in Nevada, US. In fact, the legends from the Paiute tribe in Nevada describe a race of red-haired giants called the Siteka, who were said to have been driven into caves and killed. In the early 1900s, miners in Lovelock Cave reportedly found skeletons 7 to 10 feet tall, along with oversized artifacts like a 15-inch sandal. However, scientists remain skeptical. These claims are part of local lore rather than confirmed archaeology. It seems like the possibility of giants existing continues to remain. A range of unverified reports from around the world mention giant skeletons, from a 12-foot skeleton in Wisconsin to a giant statue in Peru, or phantom giants in the Caucasus. Some of these stories include the discovery of strange gigantic giants in Iraq, tools for giants as seen in Morocco, and even gigantic figures in folklore from Mexico and elsewhere. But all of these are proof that giants once existed many years ago. Extraordinary height has always been rare, and all of these show that giants walked the earth. But the fact that they filmed giants above a mountain in Peru remains as the latest piece of evidence that the giants are still out there. This YouTuber never expected that he was filming the mountains. He would capture the video of giants above a mountain in Peru. He got the shock of his life when the massive man stood tall on the mountain. Do you think giants are still out there? Let's know your thoughts in the comments. So, thanks for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one.